Thank you for being with us today. So let's get a few, perspectives straight. Globally, the infrastructure and the building sector will add equivalent to a New York City every 35 days till 2060. And majority of this building stock will be constructed in Southeast Asia. Coming to the Indian perspective, India alone will be the world's third largest construction market by the year 2025. So we are talking 3 years from now. Homes and buildings that we build today will have a lifespan of 50 years. So the best way to build is the eco-friendly way. And for that, we have EcoCollab. So we are a platform to mainstream eco-friendly buildings. We deliver energy-efficient buildings by passive design, alternate materials, incorporating renewable energy, water and waste management strategies on site. Our solutions are self-sustaining and decentralized. Thereby, we reduce carbon footprint and we reduce the dependencies on virgin materials and large infrastructure supply chains. We also undertake building energy simulations, green building certifications like Energy Conservation Building Code, that is ECBC, EDGE, and IGBC certifications. We also do LCA analysis for products and projects. EcoCollab is a one-stop platform for your eco-friendly building needs. Let's move on to a small video as we start. Hey, over to you, Anamika, to introduce our presenter today, Shriti.
Yeah, thanks, Arundhati. Thanks. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining our EcoCollab information series today. Our presenter this week is one of our material innovation experts, Ms. Shriti Pandey. She's the founder of STRAWCTURE ECO. Like I always like to say, she's a true trailblazer in every sense of the word. She's a civil engineer who completed her master's from NYU. She's traveled around rural India. She's studied, she's been learning, developing, all of this leading and culminating in the founding of STRAWCTURE ECO. She's a true innovator. She's a Forbes 30 under 30 listee, TEDx speaker, and is achieving greater and greater heights every day. I don't think I need to introduce her any further. I think she's going to do all the talking next. Pleasure to have you here, Shriti. Over to you.
Great. So, hello everyone. I'm Shriti and I'm founder of STRAWCTURE ECO. So, my journey started with STRAWCTURE in 2018 when I moved to a village to do a rural fellowship. That is where I saw this picture that you see on the screen, which is of acres and acres of land being burned due to stubble burning. Now, as we all are aware, India is an agrarian economy. Our backbone is agriculture. And we take a lot of pride in being one of the largest producers of paddy, wheat, and sugarcane in the world. But that also translates to a fact that when we grow so much of these cereal crops, there's a lot of unwanted residue in terms of crop waste that is generated that has very little use, need, and unfortunately, around 40% of that is burnt. Now, if we have to visualize this, if most of us available on this presentation can visualize a soccer field, I'm talking about 7 soccer fields filled with straw that is burnt every year. Now that burning leads to air pollution, carbon emission, a lot of health issues in terms of lung cancers around the vicinity of where the burning happens, usually North India. And In totality, it leads to a huge economic loss to our country, which the Niti Aayog and the government has put a number of $30 billion. Now, if that is the case, that's a huge problem. It's not a national problem, but it's a global problem. Now, here, all of us who are present are a bunch of architects, are engineers, civil engineers, project managers, and we all know that the sector that we come from, which is buildings, is another big evil out there on the planet that contributes to CO2 emission. Buildings, unfortunately, contribute more than 50% to the global CO2 emission. Now, a building contributes CO2 in two forms. One is embodied, and second is operational carbon footprint. And the embodied footprint is of the materials that we choose to put in as architects, designers, and builders. And these materials, once got into a building, we all know never leave our planet. Even if you demolish a building, the material will sit somewhere on a planet after being dumped off. So, to put a dent to our carbon neutral goals, it is imperative that we as a country, as builders and architects, start questioning the materials that we built with. And that's where these two things came together for me in 2018, where when I saw the stubble burning happening, and as a civil engineer, I realized that we can look at the raw material as not a problem, but a source of making carbon negative building materials. And in a world where we are going to only build more and more to grow, to progress, and according to McKinsey report, there was a statistics that I've shared here, which says that for the next 40 years, we're going to add entirely a New York City every month on our planet. And that's the amount of construction that's going to happen for next 40 years every month. So that's where we come together with the problem. And we have agri-bio panels, which is our proprietary solution. One solution that addresses both of these problems: the carbon footprint of buildings, the unwanted underutilization of straw, where 96% of the straw becomes a raw material. So at Structure, what we do, we have a facility where we collect the straw from farmers, from marginal farmers mostly, clean them, reduce their moisture content, and press them with a binder that we have come up with, which has lowest formaldehyde emission. And finally, the product that we have is a highly dense panel called agri-bio panel. It is an alternative to engineered wood. It's an alternative to drywall. It's an alternative to gypsum for any interior application in your building. So if you're building a commercial office, a hospital, a school, or a house, you can use this product that will not only reduce the carbon, but is also functional in terms of its fire resistance and insulation. Now, the best thing about straw is that we don't have to make it insulated. We don't have to make it fireproof. The natural raw material itself for centuries has been having these properties. All we are doing is that we are changing its form and size to make it a sophisticated mainstream product that can be used in the same fashion that all other mainstream materials. Can you move to the next slide? Now, this panel that we have, which is called agri-bio panel that I just mentioned, can be used in different forms in your building. So as I said, if you think about an office, a school, a hospital, you can use these material to make your walls, your false ceiling, your doors, your mezzanine floor, which is the raised flooring in a building like commercial buildings, warehouses, and also for acoustic application. So there are more than 5 or 6 ways that you can use this product in a building. And if there is a room, I can say this by confidence that at least 55 to 60% of the building covered area, which is whether it is on floor, roof, ceiling, wall, or door, can be substituted with a carbon negative material, which means that there's a huge potential to make your buildings green by using this one singular product. Currently, we are a company that is mostly focusing on B2B customers. These are some of the projects that we have done in last 2 years. So in 2018, when I thought about the idea, it took me a year with my initial founding team, that we did a lot of R&D, product development, and we came up with a product that would fit the requirement of the Indian weather condition, Indian construction codes. And in last 2 years, from 2019 to 2022, from March 2019, which was the first month that we had a paying customer, we have grown and we have more than 75 customers now. We have sold more than 100,000 square meter of these panels. And in totality, we have stored more than 6,000 metric tons of CO2. These are some of the pictures of the projects that we have done. What we have tried to do here is we have taken a picture from different segments. So when I talk about hospitals, you can use this for your walls and ceilings. In a warehouse, it is particularly important because the Indian building code requires you to only use fire rated materials in a warehouse, in an industry. And our products has the value that only one single 12 panel on both sides of a frame can give you 2 hour fire requirement. The third is a picture of an international school called Heritage, based in Gurgaon. And we have gotten an opportunity to do 2 of the campuses, and the entire libraries and auditoriums have been done with our product. The fifth is the picture of a furniture, a concept of a furniture done by a design studio in Gurgaon, where they have used a mixed design of raw panels as well as laminate or veneer, which is standard finishes that are used in furniture. And lastly, you have a retail store which is based in Bangalore in Gurdwara Mall, where the product has been used in every aspect of the store, whether it is the flooring, the furniture, the loose cabinets, shelving, false ceiling, as well as the drywall that you see. Everything in that white retail store is essentially made out of structure eco agri bio panels, and that's the way that a product is used. We have a mandate that we want to make it more functional, but we want to reduce its versatility in terms of its finishes. Now, when we enter a market, of course, we have to compete with different products, and we often compete with mainstream materials. All engineered fiber board that are out there in the market are our competitors by default. So, whether it is gypsum as a fiber, wood as a fiber, engineered wood, or cement based fiber, all of these are our competitors. And primarily, where we are better than them is in our load bearing capacity. So, if you can see the metrics, our product is almost 3 times more strong when it comes to its breaking load capacity versus gypsum, which is the go-to material in the market right now when it comes to walls or ceilings. A product is 2 hour fire rated versus 1 hour of the maximum products that are out there in the market, which means either you use half of the material or if you use the same amount of material, you're getting double the fire safety. And lastly, the product has premium acoustic insulation features, and that's because the anatomy of straw is such that it is a breathable product. It absorbs sound as well as temperature, and we don't need to add a lot to the material to make it insulated. It is just its own raw material that gives it 30 to 35% more insulation than engineered wood or gypsum in the market. So if you're thinking about a conference room, an auditorium, or even a home theater in your house, a product becomes a very easy installation to address that. At the end of the day, we're a company that is a social enterprise, which means that every sale that we do of a product is directly proportional to the environment impact that we make. To give a reference, we have a slide here which shows that, let's say if you have a 30 square meter home, let's say a 300 square meter 1 BHK home, if, as I mentioned, 65% of the house utilizes our product to make the doors, the false ceiling, doors, furniture, flooring, you are in a position to sequestrate enough carbon dioxide that is equivalent to planting 5 trees, 5 tropical trees that will store 100 kg carbon dioxide. So that's the metric that we have here. Now, if you extrapolate that, think about a commercial office, a 1,000 square feet office which stores 3 times of CO2, what a house would. And that's the beauty, that every square feet stores carbon. So no matter how you use it, at the end of the day, you are by default making a more sustainable and a more carbon neutral or carbon negative building. At the same ethos that we have at Structure with the Agri Bio panel, a year back, we had an opportunity as a company to do a project for a client in Rajasthan. Now, if some of you have visited Rajasthan, you would know that it is one of the most dry and heat stressed region in the country. The temperature can go up as much as 45 to 50 degrees Celsius. And there we had an opportunity to use organic wool, organic fiber to do insulation. And that's when it occurred to us that while in the market there is so much synthetic insulation available, such as rock wool, glass wool, or other forms of insulation, here we have a natural fiber, a fiber that is degradable by default, a fiber that has minimum 1 hour fire rating. And considering the Indian community, most of this fiber is wasted, is left off on the ground. And so a year back, we built a value chain around a second fiber, which is unwanted, similar to straw, and has been used and translated to make a new product, which is called Magra. And we'll be launching it soon in 2023 and for the first time in the AEC exhibition in Bangalore. Now, this is 100% insulated panels as well as BAT to address thermal insulation, acoustic insulation of any commercial or residential building with a product that adds no chemical, a product that not only doesn't emit VOC, but actually on the contrary stores VOC, which means that let's say if you have a building that has a lot of wooden finishes, especially conferences, CEO's office, high management offices, there we do a lot of polish, veneer, laminate, and there's a lot of VOC emission that happens in such buildings and rooms. Now, if you use our Magra panels or felt to do the final finish of the building or the room, you don't only get better acoustics, but you actually get a product that absorbs the VOC around the room and make it more healthy and non-toxic for the people that are inhabiting the space, whether for work or for living. So that's the second product that we are launching at Structure, because we are inherently a product company. So while AgriBio panel is where we started, Magra is the second product. We are capable of doing this with a team. So we have two offices, one in Bangalore, one in Delhi, and our team has 12 people in different spaces, materials, projects, design, as well as engineering, who come together to build our product as well as to sell it. I would like to specially call out Manu, who's we have mentioned on the slide, who is the Chief Product Development Officer, who has more than 25 years of work ex and has been head of design for Bose and companies like Nikon, and is an expert who's been working with us for more than 3 years to see how we can study different aspects of a fiber anatomy, natural fibers, and make them more insulated without adding too much chemicals or other elements into the product that then make it more carbon positive. As a company, we have had an opportunity to work with a lot of brands so far to address their embodied footprint, whether it is IKEA, Heritage, ICICI. We have lately even been specified with Infosys, Wipro, DHL, ITC, and we have done projects across 11 states in the country in more than 20 cities. And the 1 million square feet of panel that has been used has been able to showcase in last 2 years that the product fits different weather condition, whether it is up north in Himachal or doing a project down south in Kerala. We have tested the product in entire geography of the country, and we have also been supported with few partners in last 2 years. So Circular Valley and Respond is two specific accelerators that are actually international, as we are also targeting to take Structure global, because we believe that we have a raw material, we have the philosophy which is very local but has the potential to go global. And Brigade, as we all must be aware, is an Indian company, an Indian builder, and we are also part of the real estate program called Brigade REAP, which is India's first and largest accelerator only focusing on real estate. We have also been supported by a lot of educational institutions in terms of R&D, product development, testing, such as I am Bangalore, I am Calcutta. So that has been a journey from starting with one customer in 2019 to more than 75 by 2022. We have also won a lot of awards for a product which showcases that the project had a merit. So for instance, in 2019, when we didn't even had a single customer, as I mentioned, we demonstrated in the Smart City Expo and we were selected as the Green Project winner by the government. In 2018, when we were on the paper as a concept, we won the United Nations Social Impact Award for our idea that we had. And then going forward in 2020, 21, and currently in 2022, we've been part of various international fellowships and grant programs, such as Echoing Green, Acumen, Aspen. These are global platforms that look at social enterprises that have a social as well as environmental impact. We've also been extremely fortunate to be supported and published by a lot of international and national media, such as Forbes, Economic Times, India Today. That has definitely helped us to reach to customers across the country. Otherwise, it's really challenging to be able to work in 11 different states, stationed out of one or two offices. But because of the media support about the work that we have done, we've been able to reach to customers as far as Northeast to Kerala, while we don't have a single offices in any of these states in the country, but we've been able to represent and show our work. And lastly, what I want to say is that at Structure, we are led by this single ethos, which is called that waste is only a waste if you waste it, which means that in a world that we are currently living in, we only have finite resources. We all are aware about climate change, and the only way to address climate change is to not reduce our consumption, which would be good, but to reimagine our consumption in a way that we are utilizing a lot of unwanted resources that are already present on the planet and not depleting the finite resources that we have. And that's what Structure is committed to do, to look at unwanted resources, convert them into sustainable, functional, durable building materials. So with AgriBio panel and Magra, that's what we are doing. And we are hoping that in the future, there'll be more products that we can offer to the market, to the building industry, where the fiber has a similar philosophy, and the end application remains the same in our build sector, with the idea that we have to reimagine living and we have to reimagine resources that we work with. Thank you.
Thanks, Shriti. It was very informative. Opening up the discussion to our participants. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask them directly to the presenter.
Yeah, so I think I've unmuted myself. So yes, if anyone has any questions around the product, how we manufacture it, how do we sell it with one factory across the country in 11 states, I would be more than happy to address that. If any of you have products that you're facing similar challenges of supply chain or have similar customers, I would be more than willing to answer that.
May I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's Manohar here.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, so Shriti, when we are talking of straw, are you focusing on a single type of straw or different kind of straws?
So I'm so glad you asked that question, Manohar, because I think to us, it's not just about looking at single straw. So when I started out in 2018, of course, we had the limitation of resources. So we thought of one straw, which was more abundantly available in the country, which was paddy. But as we started growing and we had more customers across the country, it was very evident to us that if we want to be a resilient company, we have to diversify at the fiber level. So we started very early doing research on different fibers. So coconut, wheat, paddy, and sugarcane. These are the 4 fibers that we have already done R&D on. And right now we are actually doing R&D on cassava as well, which is not that primarily available in India, but it is one of the main cellulose-based fiber available in Africa. So the idea is that we want to achieve the same standard in terms of the finished product, but we don't want to limit farmers, or we want to even not be in a situation to tell a farmer what to grow. We want to be a company that no matter what cereal crop is grown in the country, we should be in a position to collect that resource, and our technology should be flexible and viable enough to convert that fiber into an engineered panel that can then substitute the mainstream product in the market. So we are already on that line of working with paddy and sugarcane, and soon we'll be working with coconut next year in 2023.
Yeah, the question was specifically because, see, if technically speaking, if you look at the paddy straw, it has got very high silica content. More than the lignin, it depends more on silica. Now, when you talk of a paddy straw or any other straw, I think there is more lignin rich and less silica rich. So is it impacting the strength and overall thing?
So the way we work, so when it comes to our technology, we have 2 things that goes into the panel. One is the fiber and the other is the binder. So the binder that we have is a proprietary binder, which is not the traditional binder that wood uses, because that does have a limitation, as you question, that if you don't have the right optimum proportion of starch or lignin or silica, it would not stick, or if it would stick too much, and then the press would have an issue in binding the product properly. So with our proprietary agent, we are able to address this issue. So whether we are working with paddy, which has high silica, or let's say we are working with sugarcane or coconut, which has less silica and more lignin, the binder is able to flexibly work with both, whether as a singular fiber as well as a composite. So we are able to achieve the same IS requirement in terms of strength with different fibers with a binder that we have.
Lovely. So now coming to the binder. So I'm pressing you a bit on the technical part. I hope you don't mind. So on the binder part, you are using more on the organic side or any inorganic binders you are using?
So right now what we are using is a mix. It's a mix of organic and inorganic, while we are simultaneously doing research on 100% organic bio-based binder that will be able to do the same function for our product while we add no carbon footprint, and we can achieve a product that is biodegradable. So we are looking at end 2023 to have 100% organic binder, but right now it's a mix of organic and inorganic.
Rather, I would just correct you a bit over here. I think technically it is not always like when you're talking of the biodegradability as well as you're talking of the carbon footprint. It's not that only organic binders are there, which rather most of the organic binders would be on the other side of the spectrum, which are not going to be sustainable. right?
Right.
So obviously that is fine. And on the, you have got a painted panel, right? What kind of paint you are using?
So no, no. So when we manufacture our panels, it's actually raw. So we don't add any paint while we are manufacturing. It has a very wheatish texture, which is the texture of straw.
Right.
We just have some samples that look painted because at the end of the day, the architects have to use the product and they want the product to be painted, to be able to laminate, veneer, or polish. So we just give samples that show that it has the versatility of working with different finishes. But at the manufacturing level, we don't add any paint to the product.
Okay, but as far as the compatibility is concerned, what kind of a paints you think it is compatible with?
So we have used all mainstream paint. We use, regular Asian paints that are available in the market. We have also worked with few natural dyes. We have worked with even different kind of plaster on the product. So, for example, lime, cement, or clay plaster. We have also tested those. So we have achieved decent level of surface adhesion when it comes to that. So I would say from mainstream chemical paints that are there, as well as few better non-VOC water-based paints, it is compatible with both. Because it actually depends on the end customer. They themselves, if they are willing to, they can use. But we have showed them samples that it is viable to use different sort of paints. So same goes for polish as well. So for instance, everyone knows about PU polish, but we have also tested vegetable coating on the product as well, which does not emit a lot of VOC and is better off than PU, but gives a similar texture. So even that works on a product. We have tested that as well.
Okay. In your comparison sheet, I think you have missed out one product on the board competition, that is the calcium silicate board. Any particular reason?
Okay. No, there's no particular reason. I mean, that's a good feedback. We can add that for sure. Definitely. I think calcium silicate is most prominently used in ceilings, in buildings, for acoustics or non-acoustic applications. So we can definitely add it for comparison. We can do so.
Lovely. Great. So if you are looking for any technology partnership, I think there are two areas where we can have good collaboration, because I think I am also deeply working on the biomass based silica extraction and binders and other things, including a mineral paint.
Interesting.
So I think which are going to
So,
be
so you work around making binders out of
not
organic.
only binders, inorganic.
Okay. Inorganic, fair enough.
We derive silica from rice husk ash, and from there we are making a binder as well as a paint.
Okay, nice.
So it's completely green, VOC, zero VOC,
Right.
and breathable. I think the moment on your this thing also, if you put up the paint and if you put up a polymer paint, your breathability gets lost.
True. Very true.
So if it has to remain breathable and
Definitely. If you could just put your email address on the chat, I would definitely like to connect with you later because it's like the same ecosystem, right? Like
correct.
When you're talking to architects, if they're using one aspect of the product that is green and the intent is in the right place, then they want more and more things in the building to be on the same value chain, which means they would like the finish to be less carbon emissive or VOC emitting or non-toxic. And it's always good to collaborate and offer them other products in the ecosystem that can do so.
I'll
So
ping you back on
definitely
LinkedIn.
would love to connect.
I'll ping you back on LinkedIn. So we
Sure,
can take it forward.
perfect.
Awesome. So anyone else? Any other present?
I think there was a question from Chandrasekharan sir
Okay.
about what thicknesses are available in the board and what price. I'm not sure he's able to unmute himself somehow, so maybe we can just.
No worries. I'll still answer.
Yeah.
So we basically start manufacturing the product from 8 thickness, which is the lowest thickness currently, and it goes up to 35. That is a standard range. So 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 25, 30, 35. Those are the market standard thicknesses of all the competitor brands. Sometimes we have also done customized thicknesses for customers. So we had a customer in Middle East for whom we did a 50 thickness flooring panel as well. So we do have the technology to do customized thicknesses. So 8 to maximum 50 is what I would say is the range. And talking about the price point, so if we use an example of a 12 panel, a 12 panel of ours, we manufacture a product in 2 densities. we call one product line as basic, another as premium. So a basic product of ours is a product that is comparable in density, moisture resistance, and all warranty requirements to MDF and HDF. And then we have a premium panel that compares to plywood. So the 12 basic panel's price is 50 and a 12 premium panel price is around 60 rupees. So there's a difference of around 10 to 12 rupees per square feet in all basic and premium thicknesses that we have. So these are our retail prices. And then definitely when we work with architects and projects, we're able to give them discounts on the order quantities that they have. And the third thing that I would like to mention is that as a young company, something that we have as a USP that bigger companies don't have is the flexibility in customization. So let's say if you're an architect who's um, trying to use a product and you want a very specific size, finish, form. As a young company, even with very small minimum order quantities, we can do a lot of customization because I'm sure that architects wants that level of detail for the individual project. So that is something we are capable of doing while offering the standards that are there in the market.
Okay, great. I hope this answers your question, Chandra sir.
Yeah. Thank
Great.
you.
And then so if you're interested, just shoot me an email, or what I can do is I can send you a standard deck as well as our price list that are there for the different thicknesses that are there in the market, and also reference of a couple of projects that we have done, as I mentioned, in across the country. I can share that over email with you.
Now, one other thing, we are already doing toilets from waste glass fiber. Okay.
Okay.
Suppose in
Is
case
that
you are able to
FRP?
take your FRP,
Mhm.
but these are all
Yeah.
again discarded FRP which you are recycling into making toilets. Okay. So in that
Okay.
context, if my cost is comparable, suppose I take your panel and do the complete toilet wall and the roof and all those things, will it be weather friendly? Because these are all basically straw structure based. So that moisture absorption and other thing, then the panel should not open out. Unlike, see, for interior,
Mhm.
but are they really good enough for exterior application like we do a toilet? Because with panels, the advantage is I do a double wall panel. Basically.
Mhm.
So what happens? 100 wall thickness I give, so the people's psychology is taken care of. Because now whatever good
Mhm.
material you give, it is 10 or 12 people don't
Mhm.
think it is strong. They may say all
No,
the
definitely.
labs test and other thing, tensile, flexural, and compact strength and all those stuff. The layman in the village didn't understand. In fact, earlier I did our monolithic structure, one single
Mhm.
semicircular structure, just put it on only a front wall. That was a very fantastic design in terms of FRP, but it was a big
Mhm.
failure in terms of market. So what we did, we
Right.
just kept it away. We did literally 100 thick wall, looking like in between it was only all the waste foam or PVC paper, anything cut and put in between, so you create a wall. And like a Lego toy, you can fix all the six sides together. So my challenge
Mhm.
is that. So if you want to make some toilet like that,
Mhm.
will your product be comparable? And could we build a dummy wall which is looking like a 100 wall, and can we replicate? Because here
So
again,
I,
the masons in the last mile is a big problem.
Mhm.
Getting good
Yes.
masonry. That's why we
So
are
I
going.
100%.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you that when it comes to customer and their perception of the technology, especially the Indian customer, our psyche is such that if the wall is not anything minimum 4 inch thick or even more, we don't
Yeah.
believe that it's durable or it
It should look
has the
like brick
strength.
actually, Shriti.
Yeah. It has to have that feel.
That thick if
It has
they
to
see
have that
there.
feel.
Yeah.
Definitely. So usually when our product is used in drywall, sir, we usually have a frame in between. So usually when we do drywall for offices, schools, or hospital, usually the final wall that comes out, the partition wall, is a 12-50-12. That means 75 approximately, which is 3 inches of thickness of the wall, which can be changed to 12-75-12 for a washroom. We have actually done washrooms for a client. It is an NGO based in Noida, which do a lot of government and non-for-profit toilets, which
Okay.
are these toilets that are made out of a panel with a very light gauge steel frame, and then it is
But
putty
again,
painted.
your fixing will be through self-drilling screws and things like that with the metal
It
structure.
is with self-drilling screw, and then we putty paint the walls that are there, which are also exposed to the external weather condition. And we have done more than 100 toilets with this NGO. in
How much does
NCR.
it cost for an individual toilet of
So
say
I
1
don't
meter
know
by 1
what.
meter, 1 by 1 by 2.1? We don't give this 3 by 4. It is too small. Government may something.
Uh,
Suppose a fat man goes inside, gets stuck up inside sort of. So हम लोग 1 meter by 1 meter ही पकड़ के चलते हैं. That
right,
proposal
right.
height is 2.1 meter with a lot of natural ventilation coming up above the wall. Anyway, off record, what you can do, Shruti, you can do a casting for this size.
Yeah. So
1 by
what I
1
can do for
by
you is
2.1.
because
If you are readily giving me something with your existing
right.
structures and other thing which you can, what we
Mm-hmm.
do, we have 4 pillars at 3 feet tall.
Okay.
That is just landed
Okay.
into the ground, and we
Mm-hmm.
are grouting it with cement mortar and jelly and all the stuff. So you don't need to have a
Mm-hmm.
foundation also. It becomes very easy. If you
Right.
go
Right.
to my
Right.
website, you can see those toilets. Very quickly, in
Okay.
2 hours, we install the complete toilet. So which I see if there is an opportunity, I can take it up with your material.
We can explore that, and what I'll also do in the meanwhile is, so the NGO that I mentioned that we built 100 toilets for, since they were the one who were executing, I can reach out to them and I can get an idea of how much did it cost them to make the
Yeah,
toilets
yeah,
with the material and the framing. So then will be
yeah.
a better comparison for
Agreed.
you
Agreed,
to
agreed,
what
agreed.
you're doing currently. I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
do that
yeah.
certainly.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Great. So if anyone doesn't have a question, I do have one for you. Um, so we got an inquiry from a large, construction company. They are interested in structure, but they want to use it as a false ceiling material. So they have asked me two things. Let me open up the notebook so I can get the parameters right. What is the weight
Okay.
of these panels and which thickness of,
Sure.
the board that you recommend to become, can be used for a false ceiling setting? And what is the sound absorption for such a material? And as you mentioned that you have started with Magra panels as well. So if you could give the parameters for that as well.
Sure. So to start with the first part of your question, so usually what we recommend for false ceiling is either an 8 or a 9 to a customer to go for false ceiling. Now in that, the weight of our basic 8 or a 9 panel is around 0.85 kg per square feet. So usually either in ceiling the standard size is a 2 by 2 in the market or a 6 by 4 because that's a standard set by gypsum in the market. So we are talking about a 4 square feet tile. It's like 4 into 0.85 kgs. So a little less than, I would say, around 3.5 kgs would be the weight of a panel. Um, what we have done, so we have done a lot of false ceiling projects in the past, and all the standard ceiling frame that is there in the market. So whether it is the GI framing, the grid ceiling, or even the hangers that are there to suspend ceilings from, all the standard that is available in the market, its same is capable of holding on our 2 by 2 tile. So if you're replacing a 2 by 2 gypsum or a 2 by 2 calcium silicate tile, your framing doesn't have to change. Like you don't have to change the gauge or you don't have to make the frame heavier. The same frame can hold our 2 by 2 tiles or a 6 by 4 tile that is there. Now, when it comes to acoustic, if you're using a plain panel of ours with no CNC or no perforation, it will have a basic NRC of 0.55 to zero point 0.6. And if you're using a special acoustic tiles that we have specified to a couple of commercial clients, such as Infosys and Wipro, there the NRC that a end customer can achieve is between 0.85 to zero point 0.9 with our panels. In Wipro, they are currently using our 9 thick panel acoustic, and Infosys is currently using a 12 thick acoustic panel of ours. And to answer your fourth question, when it comes to Magra, to achieve the same NRC or STC, you would need around a 10 Magra felt. Or what you can do is you can do a composite of AgriBio panel and Magra, where we have a 9 AgriBio panel, and on the back of the AgriBio panel, we can paste a 2 or a 4 Magra felt. So basically, you have a mix of a hard surface and a soft surface. So you take care of the entire spectrum of high and low frequency, and that combination then becomes a very specialized application for a 2 by 2 or a 6 by 4 tile that can be very easily suspended, clipped, or installed using a frame on the false ceiling.
Great, great. Yes, this was very helpful. So I will just shoot an email so that I can get more.
Yeah, I can send you those pictures. I can send you
Yeah.
the specs. I can do both.
And
Yes.
even Chandra sir has requested, a deck of presentation with,
I can
different
do that.
pieces of panels. So
Sure.
send that across to us as well.
I'll send it.
Yeah, great. So with that, we have come to the end of our webinar. Anamika, Rupali, have I missed anything, or we can just wind this up and wish everybody a very happy weekend?
No, fantastic. It was great presentation and great question answer session, I think. If nobody else has anything to say, yeah, I think Shriti, you did really well with some of the questions today. So it was a pleasure. And with this, I think we'll end our webinar session. We look forward to everyone for our
Great. Sounds great.
thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.